Welcome to Streaming the Future, Fox's cloud transformation journey with AWS. Please welcome to the stage, Chris Ziemer.
All right, welcome. Welcome to NAB 2026. I'm Chris Ziemer. I lead industry strategy for broadcast and streaming here at AWS for media, entertainment, games, and sports. I'm thrilled to join you today, along with our innovation partners at Fox, to talk about how cloud and AI are converging to create scalable, intelligent, audience-first media platforms. At AWS, we've been working with M&E customers across every corner of the industry for over 20 years, offering services and solutions purpose-built for M&E and turnkey solutions from over 600 AWS partners. Whether our customers are streaming platforms, broadcasters, music or content studios, game developers, sports leagues, or digital publishers, our top priority is driving engagement with audiences across an increasingly fragmented media landscape. Media and entertainment in 2026 is facing a moment of extraordinary change. Media consumption habits are changing, with 47% of Americans now watching live sports primarily via streaming. And Gen Z spends 2/3 of their total media consumption time on social platforms. This is forcing media companies to engage audiences across more screens with more formats than ever before. The era of passive content consumption is over. Audiences today demand personalized, interactive, and context-aware experiences tailored to individual preferences. We're also seeing our customers recognize that excelling in one media type is no longer enough to satisfy modern audiences. They're converging their intellectual property across film, games, social media, and incorporating betting and gaming into live streaming to create interconnected, data-driven experiences. Now more than ever, generative AI is transforming our industry, reshaping how content is created, managed, distributed, and monetized. To meet these challenges, AWS is the trusted cloud across the full media journey, powered by AI at every stage. We power all layers of the content creation stack with AI tools that shorten multi-month production cycles to days. Media lifecycle management transforms content libraries and supply chains from cost centers into revenue engines, using AI to make every asset discoverable and monetizable. With media services that offer unmatched agility, scalability, and reliability, we deliver the world's largest events through multi-platform distribution to grow audiences across all screens. AWS helps our customers diversify revenue generation across advertising, subscriptions, and content licensing, leveraging data and AI to unlock new revenue streams, modernize the ad tech stack, enable 360-degree views of consumers, all to increase retention and attract advertisers. And we have a long history of enabling outcomes for our customers. From the first Prime Video Thursday Night Football stream in 2017 to the launches of Disney+, Peacock, and HBO Max streaming services, we've been at the forefront of innovation with our customers. AWS helps Epic Games stream live concerts in Fortnite. We help PGA Tour and Formula One enhance the broadcast experience, bringing fans closer to the action with AI-powered data and analytics. We've supported multiple Super Bowls, rendered thousands of VFX shots in blockbusters such as Lord of the Rings and Avatar, powered record-breaking live streams like the Paris Olympics on Peacock and the Cricket World Cup with GeoStar, with its 72.5 million concurrent viewers. Over 1 billion consumers receive content through our services. 750 million gamers play games each month built on AWS. At every step, we're working backward from our customers' needs, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in entertainment. Speaking of innovation, agentic AI is revolutionizing the way we build, operate, and scale in M&E, replacing static workflows with intelligent systems that reason, adapt, and act with minimal human intervention. M&E is uniquely positioned to benefit from the rise of agents, as the complexity of creating, managing, and distributing content at scale is precisely the kind of challenge agents are there to solve for, and our customers are already proving it. Across the industry, AWS is partnering with customers to bring generative and agentic AI to life. Our customers are deploying media operations agents to automate supply chain workflows like promo generation and localization, and agents for advertising to drive smarter advertising strategies. PBS is unlocking decades of archival content through semantic video understanding. Warner Brothers Discovery built their cycling intelligence platform to transform storytelling in cycling broadcasts. And Prime Video now offers hyper-personalized recommendations, X-ray insights, and AI topics that organize content into personalized discovery categories, all powered by generative AI on AWS. And as I mentioned at the top, more viewers are discovering content through social platforms and mobile devices, making AI to adapt content formats an increasingly urgent use case. To meet that challenge, in February, we introduced AWS Elemental Inference. Elemental Inference is an AI-managed service that transforms video content. Its first launch features convert horizontal live video to vertical feeds for streaming on mobile apps with a clipping function that automates highlight generation to capture key moments in sports. Elemental Inference works in parallel with your encoding platform without adding additional processing steps, reducing complex integration overhead and ensuring consistent broadcast quality output. And we're fortunate to have a key launch partner for Elemental Inference with Fox, who uses the service to format 16:9 live sports broadcasts into vertical formats for social platforms. And we're very excited that Fox has named AWS as its preferred cloud provider to accelerate AI innovation and power next-generation media experiences across news, entertainment, and sports. The Fox-AWS partnership builds on years of collaboration, including industry-leading streaming innovations, record-breaking Super Bowls, and the recent launch of the Fox One direct-to-consumer platform. Mayur Srinivasan is coming soon to talk more about innovations Fox and AWS have partnered on over the years. Create content faster, connect with audiences globally, captivate by transforming the fan experience. The future of entertainment is multidimensional, personalized, and more engaging than ever, and AWS is here to help our customers meet this moment of unprecedented change in our industry. Come see us in the West Hall. We're featuring over 30 demonstrations showcasing the most advanced AI capabilities in M&E, over 20 theater sessions highlighting some of the most exciting customer innovations we've seen over the last year. Take a shot at our Cloud Court Basketball Challenge, and you can get AI-powered insights into your shot performance and come home with your own player trading card and a social media post. And new this year, we have our AWS Entertainment Loft, where you can explore how Prime Video, Amazon Fire TV, and Amazon Luna are innovating with AWS. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Mayur from Fox, and I'll be back shortly to talk with our friends at Fox about our partnership and the innovative things we look forward to doing together. Thank you very much.
All right, hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Hey everyone, thanks so much for having me on stage over here. My name is Mayur Srinivasan, and I head up the digital video platform team at Fox. My team is responsible for the end-to-end delivery of video content for end users, whether it's live streams or video on demand content or some of the metadata powering these streams. We deliver content to end users across all of our business units, with the recently launched Fox One experience to sports, news, entertainment, Fox television stations, and also Tubi for some marquee events though. So that's what my group does. I'm here to talk about this topic, shaping the future, Fox's video transformation journey with AWS. We've had a long-standing relationship with AWS, and I'm here to talk about how we redefined the way we were a traditional broadcaster to kind of becoming a cloud-native media powerhouse, how we've kind of partnered over the years to power content for all of our business units, news, sports, and entertainment at scale. So let's get into it. Yeah, we just didn't move to the cloud. We basically rebuilt how content is created, produced, and delivered to millions of viewers. We did a strategic pivot back in 2018, wherein Fox basically sold off a lot of the digital traditional assets and focused on live streaming, specifically on sports and news. We focused with the partnership of AWS on building a unified platform. We wanted to kind of become cloud native and started migrating our video workflows to the cloud. And this is where we partnered very closely with AWS. And I'll walk through on the next slide our journey on that, though. And then we're continuing to work with AWS quite a bit. We're looking at the AI-powered future and how we can partner closely with AWS in all of this. So tell a little bit about my story and the journey that I've had with Fox and how AWS has been critical to our successes. So I got hired way back in 2017 at Fox as one of their first video engineers. And the goal there was to how do we start thinking about migrating our video workflows to the cloud. So this was in the early days of even when video workflows were cloud-based, right? So we started working with AWS folks way back in 2017, very first days of like Media Live and other media services in the cloud, though. So we had the vision of like starting to build the video workflows, the live video workflows, what we call the Media Cloud Live video workflow in our world. And we started approaching it from the sense of, hey, we have something out there existing. Let's start building it more as a disaster recovery solution and see how it works, right? So we started building this workflow back in 2017, and then when Fox was doing a bunch of pay-per-view events, we started trialing this workflow with the help of AWS and started testing it out, testing the waters on how cloud-based video workflows would work, right? So we started building workflows around Media Live, Media Package, and started using it as DR for, I think our first experience was with the FIFA World Cup in 2018, though. And we kept moving on. 2019, we knew we had the Super Bowl coming up in 2020. And that was one of our pivotal moments there. We realized we need to really, really ramp up our game and start building a very robust video workflow. Worked very closely with AWS. We introduced a multi-CDN strategy. CloudFront was one of the CDNs we onboarded at that time, and built out a multi-CDN strategy around that. And then we were able to actually successfully use this workflow, which we had till then treated as a disaster recovery workflow. But we actually ended up, this workflow became the primary, and we streamed Super Bowl 2020 very successfully to, like, at that point, 3.4 million peak concurrents, which was a record at that time, right? So fast forward on, we moved on, 21, 22. We then started migrating the rest of our ecosystem to this workflow that we built in partnership with AWS. And then 2023 came along, Super Bowl. We started raising the bar there. We streamed to about 7 million peak concurrents, and it went off without a glitch. So really, really good partnership there. Operational excellence, we kept raising the bar on operational excellence as we went through all of this, though. And then 2024, I probably heard of the now defunct Venue Sports. This actually helped us innovate in a different way at scale, though. Like, how do you onboard hundreds of streams onto our ecosystem? So a lot of infrastructure, code as infrastructure built, which helped us take the partners and be ready for launch, but unfortunately it didn't take off. But all of that gleanings helped us as we kind of continue to evolve the platform, right? And this led to Super Bowl in 2025, where the Tubi front doors, we powered through this Media Cloud Live workflow built. We were able to successfully stream to 15.5 million peaks, 24 million unique users, huge numbers. We were well prepared for there, and we delivered it at really high quality, and also with broadcast meeting latency, though, so really good numbers there. We've continued to evolve over there. We're working towards the FIFA World Cup, the upcoming FIFA World Cup. We launched Fox One last September, and AWS was an integral part of all of that work, though, so really good partnership over there. I'll touch upon some of the core features next that we've built in partnership with AWS. A lot of innovation happening there. As you can imagine, the people who are in the room, live streaming at scale is hard, and then when you layer up some of these features, critical features, you can appreciate the amount of work which goes on behind the scenes. So features like live scrubbing, ability to scrub within your live stream in a seamless way, and kind of preserving the experience for end users, not ensuring that it doesn't rebuffer and all that stuff. We've worked very closely with the AWS team and helping on getting these features across to end users, right? Vertical videos, we're innovating there, ensuring that we can crop appropriately and have content surface in our apps, though. Catch up with the highlights, another key feature that we partnered closely with AWS and worked on to ensure that users are able to quickly navigate through, and any sporting event, whether it's soccer, NFL, you can kind of quickly look through and catch up with the highlights, though. Server-side ad insertion is another area we're looking at. We already have that in our ecosystem, but we're looking to work with the media tailor teams and integrate seamlessly over there. Other features, Cloud DVR, very critical feature, probably one of our most critical features for the Fox One app. Like users are able to record content and navigate around that. So partnered very closely there with AWS too. Other features, AI-powered shots, like the ability to kind of use AI to generate lots of interesting snippets of content and have that be surfaced in our apps. So worked on that. Multi-view personally for me is an interesting thing. A lot of innovation happening in that area. We're working towards what you'd call bring your own multi-view, wherein users are able to dynamically select the stream that they want to put up and compose on their multi-view experience. So good work happening in that field. And then as always, we continue to innovate on the core video streaming side of things, the low latency and 4K HDR streams. We're continuously looking to improve the quality and keep users happy though. So yeah, those are some of the key features that we've worked on with AWS. And then if you look at what's next for us, at least upcoming, I talked about AI vertical video. I think there's a lot of interest there in terms of how do we kind of power that real-time mobile adaptation powered by elemental inference. That should be an interesting one for us. Contextual metadata scale is interesting. We were chatting with AWS folks on some of the features here, both for live and VOD content. How can we figure out proper contextual metadata and use that to monetize and personalize and everything else? So interesting stuff there. Then user-controlled multi-views, talked about that briefly. The fans can pick their streams. Like imagine FIFA World Cup, you have such a rich user experience there when fans can pick and choose which games they want to watch on their composite simultaneously though. So really appreciate the partnership there with AWS, and thanks so much for having me on stage. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Thank you. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Will and Rick, for doing this with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Absolutely,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
So let's start. I wanted to just open it up a little bit and think about a time in your career. Was there a project, a deadline? What was the aha moment, right, that made you realize things have to change? The old way of doing things aren't going to work anymore. Let's start looking at cloud and more advanced technologies. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I touched upon it briefly on my journey and things. I think way back in 2018, when we realized, hey, we have a Super Bowl upcoming in 2020, and what are some of the things we want to do? I think the single most aha moment for me was like, oh, we're on a single CDN right now. We're starting to move towards the cloud, but we need to do a lot more on this. Like, how do we build up a robust multi-CDN delivery strategy and kind of work towards that, innovate on that front? And also not just that, like how do we build resiliency into our ecosystem? What happens if certain components start failing? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things we can do and build it all cloud native? So that was my...
May I ask what year that was?
That was 2018. We started that journey, and then it ramped up all the way into 2020 Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean that was like viewed to be a really risky undertaking, right? Delivering a Super Bowl on a CDN. It had its share of pressures, I would think. How about you, Will?
For me, it had to be hands down at the end of the Fox Disney acquisition, and we had 2 years to literally build a technology center and all of the technology that goes in it, from building streaming content technology to media systems to playout systems, and realizing that the monolithic way of doing it before was not going to cut it. And working with AWS and trying to get this facility up and running and all the technology that we need out the door within 2 years was quite the challenge. I mean, from being in the facility with hard hats on and figuring out where we're putting data centers and things like that, that was fun, but very stressful and interesting all at the same time. And that momentum that we got from that experience to building this environment is kind of paving the way for us still today, right? As new challenges come up, as new things that need to be built or deployed, we move with that same sort of momentum and pace. So I'm really, really grateful for that opportunity because it's kind of changed us and made us ready for what's happening today, some of the innovations with AI and things like that. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Agility, yeah. Yeah, how about you, Rick?
Yeah, I think, March 2020 was first month of pandemic, and we had to figure out how to get content on air. And, at that time, I was living in a little house in Santa Monica, and I managed to build a control room in a garage, and my AWS representative at the time, he drove over, right? And he had a little Pelican box, and he put it right on my doorstep and then ran away, But that was the Elemental Link, the original, the little small guy, the yellow box. And then with that, we did 700 hours of live broadcast television through a garage with an Elemental Link. And at that point, I was like, this is different. This is now going to be a different environment whenever we get back. And then when we did get back, we were able to build a digital studio, we were able to add digital control rooms, and we were able to really take the learnings from the garage environment and then scale them appropriately for digital content, which has been the last 4 years now, 5 years.
That's a great story. I love that. Great innovations often happen in the garage.
I often do. Yeah.
It's known as Rick's Garage, though.
It's known as Rick's
It's
Garage.
like a thing now. It's a thing.
Do you still call it that at Fox? Is even Rick's Garage?
No,
Where the innovation happens.
Exactly.
Nice. Cool. In my presentation at the top, I talk about this notion of audiences fragmenting, right? And it's just a huge challenge, for media companies to aggregate these audiences and, reach them on the platforms where they are. So, Will, how do you approach that at Fox? You've got a good, strong broadcast legacy and lineage, and how do you manage this notion of fragmentation?
I think we're doubling down on personalization and maintaining user engagement. And if you look at Fox One, it's really a great example of how we've completely consolidated the user's experience into a single platform where you can get live, linear, VOD across sports, news, and entertainment all in one place, all with the goal of delivering content more dynamically and personalized for our consumers across all of our brands. I mean, it's about finding the right content for the right person at the right time, whether it is a news clip, a full season series or episode, or just a sports highlight or a live event. Just making sure that we are adhering to and trying to build on those multiple end user patterns and providing some investment in there. And I think that's an approach that we've taken and it's proven in the latest release of Fox One.
Yeah, the whole nature of content discovery has just been upended.
Yes.
I think there's an expectation now that you shouldn't have to search. The content should come
Absolutely,
to you.
we want to keep the users in our ecosystem, in our applications, where the Fox brands and where the Fox content lives. And I think that we are all really focused on making sure that is something that continues to move forward in our products.
Yeah. It also necessitates a really good understanding of the audience, right?
Yes.
How do you know what the preferences are? How do you know, where they are? Rick, could you address that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, that's where a lot of the AI tools can come in, right?
Yeah.
I think that's part of content understanding where your audience lives. And for us, we're trying to drive eyeballs to Fox One. We're trying to drive eyeballs to Fox Sports app, website, Tubi now, right? Through our social media verticals. And so it's understanding not just who is on what platform, but the type of content that's best serviced for each one of these. And so for social media, you're devising different content strategies around TikTok, YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram. Threads is now making, waves in terms of the strategy as well. And so when you look at building tools now that are going to address, okay, how do we actually come up with content plans that engage our fans where they are at? And then after that, the second step is, how do I now get them from that into a Fox environment? You know?
Yeah, enable the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's got to be agile enough to be ready to accept in whatever the new platform is going to be. You know, somebody was telling me a while ago, nobody knew TikTok was even going to be a thing 5 years ago.
Right.
Right.
And so now that's why, like, you know, that's the importance, right, of something like a tool like Inference, where you are now able to automate 16 by 9 and 9 by 16 video. You know, and this was, I mean, this is development. I mean, this was, you're talking about almost 2 years of development for something like Inference, really, to get it right. And there's a lot of tools out there that do this sort of conversion. But I think because of how the model was actually, what it was actually learning on, which was manually created highlight clips from some of the best people in the business, the Fox Sports social team, now this is a model that is pretty true to actually capturing the action. It's not just following the ball, it's not just following a player, but it's actually understanding what is happening in order to keep the action in the frame. And again, the latency low, and you're able to send it out to TikTok. We're actually doing it right now, which is actually crazy, you know, so.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's cool. And you hit on a very important point, I think, like the semantic understanding of content, right? Is that's where the magic is.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I think when we talk about AI, and I think like a lot of people in here, you know, like their boss will say like, I need you to get into AI. It's like, well, what does that mean? You know, and like for me and for my team, it really is like 3 pillars. It's content creation. So it's like, it starts from nothing, and then I'm gonna use an agentic model to, you know, generative AI to create the content from scratch. Content enhancement, which is something like Inference, where I'm taking a horizontal video and I'm turning it, reformatting it into 9 by 16 for TikTok, Instagram audiences, or other vertical platforms, right? And then it's the content understanding, and it's understanding what fans are engaging where, what are they following, and so that we can make our strategy decisions around what our fans want as opposed first, right? And being always fan first, which is something that I think has been a big focus for Fox, is we over-service our fans.
Yeah, audience first, 100%, yeah. Mayur, let's talk a little bit about the tech decisions behind this. You know, all of this has to happen on a direct-to-consumer platform that is serving millions of concurrent users with near zero latency. You know, how do you make the technical decisions that, you know, empower that? And can you give us some examples of how, you know, kind of working backward from this audience expectation is driving the tech decisions?
No, I think a key philosophy which we've maintained throughout our journey that I highlighted previously is simplicity, though, right? Like, it's a very important concept, like, but making sure that you're building the necessary resilience pieces, but ensuring that you're still keeping your architecture pretty simple in the sense that I mean, for live streaming, like the speed at which you recover from issues is important. It should, from an end user perspective, it should all look seamless, right? But behind the scenes, there could be several things which are tweaked tunes, you fail over to disaster recovery systems and things like that. So I think like our key technical decisions have always been based upon this philosophy of being simple, make sure every part of the workflow has like a backup in place, and the necessary knobs have been operationalized, and we keep that like built up as muscle memory for our operators. And we provide the tools, the right kind of tools for our operators. I think those are some of the technical decisions. Like simplicity and having that operational mindset for anything that we do are key tenets of any decision.
Operational mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simplifying operations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge challenge, right? You know, we were talking in the back about, you know, implementation of AI and, you know, how you deal with the operationalizing of it and the human element that comes with this, right? So the non-technical challenges around that, right? Around just the implementation of the streaming system, you know, even aside from AI, you know, how do you deal with, what are the non-technical challenges that you face the most, and how did you deal with them?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of non-technical challenges, it's always about managing stakeholder expectations and ensuring that, like, yeah, we've got to have a good balance between like the speed at which we move versus like ensuring that there's that operational resiliency built in naturally, right?
Yeah.
So kind of balancing that out and keeping the teams focused on our core deliverables of making that end user experience really good, I think that's the key challenge.
Yeah, great, great. So let's turn to AI for a moment. You know, Will, can you speak to some of the ways AI has changed? You know, the way you're approaching your day-to-day.
Well, at Fox, we're all empowered to be builders and to be creative and to experiment with AI with a focus on driving speed, user engagement, and monetization, right? You know, so we want to harness like everyone's ability to kind of go in and work with these tools to be able to help us find value in this type of technology. And one area that's really working very well for us, we've touched on content understanding a bit, but from a different perspective, we are using AI recognition and other tools to help us enrich our content, enrich metadata, and be able to surface those key moments from our content libraries to be able to make them available to our end users, whether it's through our mobile devices or web devices. But those are areas that we have done very, very well. Also, we're, from an agentic development perspective, we're all kind of getting into building agents and seeing how these agents can help us move faster. And we're starting to see the adoption with our teams and with everyone that we work with and partner with at Fox, where we're seeing some great improvement there. And there are some things that don't necessarily work right out the gate, right? And being creative and being empowered to just be able to build and do things, we're also empowered to fail quickly and move on to other things. And there are some tools that I found personally that my team, everyone is involved with, where using AI to like build standalone tools that aren't really fully embedded into media or technical workflows don't seem to pan out very well, or building standalone tools that require 100% accuracy without some sort of human oversight.
Yeah.
Right. But we're very passionate about this at Fox, right? It was we quickly culturally embraced this as a company and as a technology team, and we're continuing to see across all our different brands and models and teams to see advancements in this area, but all with the common goal of operational efficiency and finding the value in AI to help you to power our systems and platforms and services.
Yeah, that's great. That's a pattern we see across our customers who have successfully deployed AI. It's exactly what you just said. There's a top-level organizational viewpoint and very clear business and operational goals, and driving this top-down, kind of mandate, if you will, is really critical to.
Yeah, I look at it as more support from our leadership.
Support for your leadership is a better way to say it. Yes.
Really understanding and trusting us, to build these tools to run our business, right? And it's very, it's nice to know that that when you have that sort of support and air cover around something that's so new.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Rick?
Yeah, I just think, again, I think for us, not only is it the efficiency, but it's also that creative element, right? It's also being able to tell now, potentially even entry-level employees, and right now we're doing a lot of hiring because of the World Cup coming up, is that they're really coming in and they're really managers, right? Because they're managing now, 6 or 7 agents that are doing a lot of the tasks that normal entry-level people would do. What does this do? It frees them up to actually be more creative, frees them up to actually think about content creatively, as opposed to just think about it in terms of a pipeline, right? And so that's been super exciting. And obviously, creatively being able to see our design team, being able to see our social team use AI models to create content from the ground up. And your imagination is really limitless here, and it's really understanding okay, what works, what doesn't, and there's where do we have to put up guardrails for some of this content. But no, it's been really exciting, and we did the there was an announcement around Zlatan being our latest talent for FIFA for the World Cup, and all of the content that went out in regards to that announcement was all enhanced with AI. He's riding in on a white lion, right? Or a white tiger, I believe. And it was again, that's something that last year wouldn't have been possible. Now it is.
Yeah, let's stay on that theme for a minute. How AI is empowering things like these second screen experiences and new forms of engagement. The pattern you just described, we see a lot, right? AI for building data stories, right? Like Bundesliga is doing, right? To better engage the audiences. What are you doing there, in addition to the kind of engagement-centric things we talked about earlier?
Yeah, I think that we're using, agentic workflows to really enrich the data that we have coming in, right? So again, I mentioned we have data that's going to be coming in off of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, right? And through different AI models on AWS, we're really able to pinpoint these things about what is potentially going to be trending, predictive analysis on what topics our fans are going to want to cover during the course of a game or even before the game. Also analyzing what is actually going to potentially fizzle.
Yeah.
Maybe something's just going to last 10 minutes, then it's gone, right? Or is something a sticking point? Is this now a topic that needs to get discussed in a post-game show, right? Do we have to continue the conversation on, during the course of the tournament? All of these things we can now monitor in real time, which is again something that we haven't been able to do. We're going beyond kind of your off-the-shelf trending analytics platforms, and you're building something bespoke on the platform.
Yeah, great. Mayor, how is AI impacting your world? Any point of view?
Yeah, other than the things that Will and Rick touched upon, I think we were also focusing a lot on improving our observability metrics and keeping that operational excellence.
I was going to ask you this.
Yeah, absolutely. We have tons and tons of data collected through all of our workflows on the video side of things. How do we now use AI to enrich our observability panels and ensure that our operational excellence is notched up further using AI as a tool? So lots of things being worked on and improved upon this.
Yeah, that's great. That's a huge use case we see. We're showing that at our booth, monitoring the observability within agentic workflow. That's great. Let's turn to monetization, for a minute. I'm interested, and maybe we start with you, Mayor. With the launch of Fox One, what kind of new revenue models have emerged and that may not have been possible prior to this launch?
Yeah, Fox One launched as a subscription service, and we're looking to kind of grow that base. How do you think about audience retention and audience growth as two key pillars, right? As part of that, we're looking at new avenues of revenue. I think we recently added the capability to do server-side ad insertion. That's an interesting addition to this. And then as we keep growing upon this, some of the stuff that we touched upon using AI, the ability to generate contextual metadata and use that to look for further areas of enriching our ad experience and generating new avenues of revenue, I think is an interesting area, though.
Yeah. Anything to add, Will?
I would just say that in addition to the content that's coming in across all of the different brands, we're adding that additional contextualization to be able to make recommendations to the consumers, and with ad insertion and things like that, those additional revenue streams for content that wasn't necessarily there, or content that was not necessarily on any type of digital platform before, right? We have business units like Fox First Run, a lot of people may not even have heard of that, but that content is now available in our platform for you to be able to view, and then getting, like our BTN network content and Deportes and things like that, being able to have a common platform to where all of this content can live and we can recommend and monetize to the consumer. We haven't had anything like this across all brands before, and it's a really an exciting experience and space for all of us to be in, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have a follow-up question, but I want to go to you first, Rick.
No, I just think, look, when we look at programmatic revenue, across our social channels, right? The need for standing up more and more live content, being live, 24/7, which is something that we're looking to do around the World Cup for the first time. Mm-hmm. But being able to scale that, being able to now, okay, what if I want to do that on motorsports? What if I want to do that on college football? And, the need to create a 24/7 playlist, essentially of not just VOD content, but live content going into the library, like Will is talking about, and pulling out things that now, we can actually utilize on our social platforms. And again, all with the idea of driving the viewer back to Fox 1, Fox Broadcast, FS1, right? But again, like, these are monetization streams right now that are, they're untapped in a way, because again, like, just the ability to scale with, multiple different fast channels with the amount of content that we're talking about hasn't been available.
Fast channels, did you say?
Fast channels to me always mean that, well, it's VOD content, right? It's not, you're not cutting in live.
Right.
But for World Cup, that's, we have digital original programming, right? We have our World Cup Now show, we have pre-game, halftime, post-game coverage. We're going to show game previews. We're going to show isolated camera feeds. We're going to show all of these feeds, again, driving to Fox 1, but also building that audience on YouTube and on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Did you have a comment, Will?
I was just going to say, like, in addition to like the subscriber base, the relationship we have with Prime and getting that additional, viewership from there,
distribution,
right? And distribution of our content, live feeds, VOD content as well, right? Is also something new, that we developed with Fox One. So when you look at different revenue streams, I can see that as a potential benefit, and maybe.
Yeah, I was just gonna, just quickly, like, one of the things, like, at Fox, and you guys know this too, but especially like with my team on the digital side, like, we run lean. We're a very lean company. So when I say things like, this wasn't possible like in years prior without certain AI automation available, that's why, is because we can't go out and hire 10,000 people to actually run everything that we actually need. But now, because of AI in the cloud, there's a lot more doors that are open for us for that.
Yeah, amazing.
It's just a lean organization. Right?
In all this, you're creating a sea of net new inventory for advertising, right? And it's just super scalable, right? You can just continue to build and build and build, and as long as you can keep the advertiser demand, right? But that comes with knowing the audience. So it seems like you've got the magic formula. Did you have anything to add on this, Amir? That's okay.
Nothing much to add to that. But we're continuing to do this. I think maybe another area to touch upon is some internationalization efforts. I think we recently announced Fox Mexico. So we've now built the platform to kind of continuously onboard new content, new areas of revenue, which should be interesting for us.
Yeah, that's a great point, the international, kind of growth and expansion. And, I heard about the Mexico. Do you have global design across the...
So that's the next big innovation challenge, like things around how do we scale our ecosystem to now be available internationally also. So.
Yeah, and I imagine AI would play a huge part in that, right?
Absolutely,
We're seeing so much in localization and language translation,
exactly.
And
so
lip modeling.
Exactly, those are things we'll partner closely with AWS on and figure out how do we basically internationalize our offerings in a way that can be easily consumed by the audience out there.
Yeah, that's great.
I think the one thing I'll add to that too is the platforms that we've built affords us to be able to do that. Fairly quickly too, right? Obviously sometimes there's new features and functionalities that we may need to take into consideration, but the overall, platform that we've built, that powers Fox One, that powers a lot of our digital properties, will allow us to move very quickly in these areas. And I think that's what helps us a lot. I mean, he's right, we're very, very lean, right? We need to move quickly on things, and I mean, we move quickly on things.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Right, and being able to bring things to market very fast is a testament to some of the work that all of the teams across Fox brands have worked together.
Speed to market is so critical,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's just a sea of choice, for consumers, and it's almost like whoever gets there faster, right? I'm curious, what was the most, when you launched this service, what was the most meaningful, kind of impact in that area? Like,
Yeah, I mean, think about our journey and how we ended up building Fox One. Looking back at it, like 2025 Super Bowl we just wrapped it up and it was super successful and all that. Immediately we were told, we want to launch a subscription service in the fall and bring all of Fox's content properties into one subscription offering.
Yeah.
We'd never built a subscription service at scale, bringing everything into one world, right? So that is a challenge of a different kind. And if you layer on top of that some of the features I discussed during my presentation, all of those rich user attractive features like live scrubbing, AI shots, all of the cloud DVR, building all of that in a very short span of time, and that attest to what Rick and Will have been chatting about. We're a very lean organization, but we move very, very rapidly. We were able to quickly innovate, and partnership with AWS, being able to successfully launch in August.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Any point of view?
I mean, other than speed to market being incredibly
critical, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly important, but I think because of that, like the tools that you use to do that, and like in our world of like social highlights especially, right, that we have to be first. We cannot be second, third, fourth. So, that first day of the World Cup, that first goal that happens on that day, we have to be the first one that puts that out there, right? Because that's important to the whole ecosphere. That's important to the sales department. That's important to everybody that touches that. And so, having tools that allow you to do that, and then taking advantage of the media rights that we have on the digital side as well. So for things like the World Cup, we have 30 minutes of highlights per game. So I can do 30 minutes of condensed programming on YouTube the second the final whistle blows. Well, before, that was a manual process. Someone would have to come in and be like, oh, let me bring in this highlight, let me bring in this, let me bring in this. Now I can use AI machine learning to do that, which is super exciting. So now, final whistle blows, button click, post, and now your content's already out there. So that's, again, huge speed to market plus for us there.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I'm curious, just to go back to, this understanding of the audience and the data strategy around that, right? Kind of specifically, how do you look at, kind of aggregation and unification of data across? It's a huge pain point that enterprise customers of your size have. This siloed data repositories, and this bucket belongs to the CMO, and you can't touch the advertising data. How do you manage through the?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the thing that we've been focused on really is you have a lot of people out there that are going to watch games, that are going to interact with content, but they're going to be non-specific. They're going to be things like, that red card shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what are they actually referring to when you actually pull that now into a data stream? So now you actually have to have data from the game, and you're going to have AI modeling that infers what that person is talking about, and then is that the same thing that maybe 100,000 other people are talking about, right? And it's connecting all of those dots across, every social media platform that we exist on.
Yeah, great. So what's next? What's on your wish list? What's the biggest innovation that what do you wish you had that would be highest on your priority list? We'll go one by one.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, there are a ton of things which we're looking to innovate on, and some of which we're introducing as part of the FIFA World Cup experience. Though I touched a little bit about bring your own multi-view and that interesting experience of like users being able to pick and select which streams form part of the viewing experience. There are a lot of interesting technical challenges around that, especially around like if the number of inputs kind of
around the multi-view experience.
Yeah, if you have like 40, 50 streams and users have to pick and choose, the number of combinations which need to be generated just explodes, right?
And how do you keep the cost low when you're now generating 25 streams instead of one?
Exactly, I mean, thousands of different combinations. How do you keep the costs down and ensure that the complexity down and ensure that the user experience is still rich? I think there's some innovation to be done in that area, working also like with other partners and stuff like that, seeing where that leads us. I think, yeah, the other aspect of things is I sense the industry is looking for solutions around personalized UIs for enriching user engagement, right? Like how do we seamlessly step into that world and bring a rich dynamic user interface? I think that's an area to innovate upon.
This is a huge question. You know, the notion of discovery, again, you know, we have, you know, the standard carousel on the streaming services, and it's starting to feel old, you know.
Exactly.
You know, and is the future just a text prompt or a natural language prompt? You know, give me an action movie, give me the highlights from the World Cup from the second half, right? It's
I mean, if you look at Tubi was one of the first, you know, streaming platforms to go live on ChatGPT. I mean, you can do this exact search for, you know, hundreds of thousands of episodes that Tubi has, and to be able to get to that specific moment or that specific content that you're looking for. Me being a content guy, right, sitting on, you know, for Fox, 50 petabytes worth of content, I mean, I wish that there was a very inexpensive way for me to run the contextualization across everything, right, you know, that we have in a way that can power a lot of what Mayur was talking about, building those experiences for you. That isn't just what's coming up, what's in the EPG, what's live now, right? But truly personalizing the experience, right? I mean, I'm one of those people where I watch everything after the event.
Yeah.
Right, you know, so I want to see recommendations for the things that I enjoy seeing. So I can't be the only one out there that that thinks this way. But
yeah, I mean being able to analyze like a full-on, because Fox has such a rich content library, but I would add on to that, for each piece of video that exists, what are the distribution rights around it? Because that's always something that we're always kind of up against, because sometimes these contracts, they're very old, right? And so we don't know. Like, I'd love to show like maybe a MotoGP race in full. Maybe there was like an old World Cup game from, you know, 2022 that was, you know, like the old USA games, right? But if there was a tag that was like, oh, yeah, you can show this on YouTube, or you're limited to 30 minutes, or actually it's 5, you know, and being able to understand where we are, what we can actually do with it across social media, that I think would be huge.
This is a gigantic industry challenge, you know, rights management.
Rights management,
Deep, rich archive. How do you do it?
That's why it's on the wish list.
That's why it's on the wish list. Fair. You did answer the question.
I mean, as a soccer fan, I'd love to see like what are the top 10 goals across all World Cups in the past, kind of thing. Like that rich, personalized, like search-based recommendation, like content being shown up there, right? It would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, this has been the recurring theme, right? All roads lead to personalization. You know, that's what this is really about at the end of the day, it seems. Yeah. All right, lightning round, closing question. What else do you want to see at NAB?
Interesting. What else? Just around the themes around innovation, I'd love to see what others are doing in the industry to like help push the boundaries on like personalization and things like that.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I think for me, I want to see technology that's going to help us accelerate faster, right? You know, whether it be finding actual moments as they occur, right? And being able to monetize them and bring them to market and push them to our platforms very quickly. What's the technology there, and where we're headed with that type of, real-time intelligence, right, around content, and working with AWS and other in partners, right, to advance in that space. And I think that's a really big area of focus that would really kind of capture my attention, because we can do this when things, shortly after the fact, right? But doing it in the moment and personalizing it and recommending it and delivering it without friction, right? I mean, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. What helps your teams move faster, right? Bring products to life faster, bring things to market faster. Vibe coding?
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
Vibe coding's real. Yeah. I think, I mentioned like with inference, it taking, almost 24 months to actually come to fruition. So finding partners that are like willing to work with you and actually develop a product. I mean, inference started because, AWS representatives came and saw how I was doing vertical production for the Euros Copa in the summer of 24. And then they took that idea and they put it into a hackathon. It won the hackathon. And then 24 months later, here we are at NAB talking about it. Mm-hmm. Like, those are the types of relationships that I really want to, find and establish. And then the second thing, too, that I'll mention is clean UI. There's a lot of cool technology out there. I see it, and I'm just like, oh, this is so awesome. But can I put this in front of a 22-year-old right out of college who's a social media producer for Fox Sports? Are they going to be able to understand it? Are they going to gravitate toward it? It's so important for the new generation that your product looks clean, it's simple, it's understandable, and it can't look like the back-end console of what a lot of technology does. Like, that's just not, because it's not going to be a veteran engineer who's actually running it. It's going to be, the 22-year-old that, again, I hired to do social media for the World Cup. That's who actually is the end user.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a real shift, right?
Yeah. I mean, even for inference, there was a new graphic overlay on it, and I was like, where can I get this? Where can I get this?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, those types of things, like, they are crucial for the next generation to coming up here.
Yeah, the new workforce mandates different tools and different points of view, for sure. All right, amazing. This has been so much fun, guys. I really, really appreciate you doing it. Thank you so much, and thank you for the partnership. We're super excited about what's to come.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.